What's up everyone, welcome to today's video, welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. Once in a while, we'll showcase a few questions from our audience members and I take some time to answer them in a video if they require a little bit more nuance. Today, our question came from one of my audience members and they asked and said, why does Gotham Knights not look next gen? Why does it seem like other games, comparably a game like A Plague Tale, looks more like a next gen game compared to Gotham Knights? And that is a very interesting question because there's a lot of nuance to how this actually works from a technical side. But on the basic level, it's all about the kind of game that you're making. The way one game looks compared to another does not mean that one game is superior than the other. I think the term next gen has been a marketing term that has just, in a sense, sowed some seeds of confusion overall rather than help to convey that newer consoles were coming with a little bit more power to augment the former consoles. I don't think it really means anything much about the game itself, and I'll go ahead and explain my best in this video. So, Gotham Knights has its art style. It has the way that it wants to represent itself. It already is doing that job because the kind of game that it is a game that's depicting comic book heroes. A Plague Tale, on the other hand, is a game that is trying to pull you into a world to tell you a story that supposedly had happened at a given time in its own world, in a sense. So its environment, its art, its characters, its models, its buildings are supposed to convey that feeling. Hence, when you actually jump into its world, what you're going to see is it's a world that is representative of our, in quote, real life. Trees, landscapes, topography that is experiential to human beings. This is exactly what you should see if you're talking about a story that actually is depicting humans and their own experience. So obviously, this is what you should expect from a video game like this. Now, in the case of Gotham Knights, nonetheless, I mean, think about it. You're in a comic book world where characters are using grappling guns to hover across rooftops and do parkour and all of the above. What would you expect for the art style of a game like that? You'd expect a much more playful, colorful art style, and artists can go crazy as they want, like the way they did with Gotham Knights, where they added the neon aspect to it. I thought that was actually pretty nice. Yes, I'm not the biggest neon fan, but I think what I've seen so far, the neon actually does make for a good touch to the overall concept, in my opinion anyways. So you look at A Plague's Tale, you look at the character models, you look at the way the grass and everything is representative, and the beauty of this is, apparently, they're using a library of assets that are actually, real life pictures of these landforms and land assets in a sense. So let me introduce you guys to something that is called Megascans. This is a very powerful library of items that you can use, for your game. You can take assets from there that have been scanned from real world locations and real world landforms and actually put it in your game. So rocks like these, all kinds of different vegetation and stuff can be represented in your game if you want. You can go to the Unreal Engine marketplace, you can look up Megascans assets and you can download them to use in the engine. If you even want, and you want to jump in deeper, you can use a plugin and import them directly into your game. So here's my little level that I usually show you guys. One thing that I didn't tell you in my other video is a lot of my rocks and landforms and trees are all items that I actually got, well, most of them anyways, from the Megascans library. Look at this little rock asset. It has the moss and everything in there. I didn't design it. This was something that was taken, as a photo from a real rock and then basically converted into an asset to make in a video game. So these realistic, pieces that provide some sort of, I would say, reality in a sense that makes the game look much more realistic is what I think a lot of people are misconstruing for a game looking better, or what we call next gen in a sense. But it doesn't really matter. In fact, you might even say or try to cite that maybe the engine that was being used, because the engine conversation usually comes up in A Plague Tale, is better than the engine that's being used in Gotham Knights. I don't think that's necessarily the case. If you look at game engines, at the end of the day, it's like, say, you want to build a deck, I want to build a deck, and you decide that you want to use a set of Makita drills, and I decide I want to use DeWalt drills. That's the difference between a game engine. At the end of the day, you and I can accomplish that deck build using a drill set that we feel we want to use and will do the job in the best way. That's all a game engine is. Now, yes, there will be limitations to the game engines, but yeah, there will also be limitations to your Makita drill set and my DeWalt drill set. And that's how I think I can explain it in the simplest form. What's even better is if you ask me, so which engine do I think is best? I'll tell you Unreal Engine 4. And the reason I'll tell you that is because I've never used this engine that they used to make A Plague Tale. But I've used Unreal Engine 4, and I know that if you're actually using Unreal Engine 4, the entire Megascans library is available to you for free. So that makes a value proposition that I like. So in choosing, I would go that route because that provides me an advantage. Not saying that the engine that's used here, which is Asobo's in-house engine, is bad. I'm just saying it provides me less of a value proposition than the Unreal Engine. So looking at both games, it tells us that the art style, all of these other things, the way the world is lit, is very different. It brings me to a final aspect of the conversation, and we always see this almost every time. Whenever there's a conversation about superhero games and Gotham Knights comes up, you're usually going to hear the talk surrounding games like Marvel Spider-Man. Now, I understand Marvel Spider-Man is a really solid game, but it too is following its own art direction and art style that's depicting its world in the way that its artistic team and creative team wanted to show it to you. In fact, if you look at the way the world is built, the assets, in quote, the buildings, are designed to be able to give you this feeling that you're in some city just swinging away. You can't really interact with most of these cities anyways, but they're designed in a way that gives you that feel. That's exactly what it is the developers and the environment and level designers wanted to convey, and they've done a good job doing it. Another comparison that we usually get most times is the Arkham games. Now, Batman Arkham Knight is a solid looking video game. That is one of my favorite games ever. I mean, there's no doubt about that I like that game. In fact, I have it here on Quick Resume. I've been playing it on Xbox, by the way, trying to remember what that 30 FPS experience looks like. And honestly, its open world is also reminiscent of what the artist and what the creative direction wanted to depict to you. There's no way around it that every single video game is going to have its own art direction, is going to have its own lighting concepts, and they're going to convey the exact feeling that you're actually supposed to get when you actually interact with the world. So does that mean that one game looking better than another makes the game superior? I doubt it. I think this is just a misconception that comes from the place where, most of us, and myself included for the long time, we haven't really interacted with the tools that are used in game development. And so I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. And one more thing, one of our audience members also added a question about lighting to the whole conversation. And I thought, before I leave this video, let me go ahead and add it to you guys so that you guys can see a little bit about lighting in Unreal Engine 4, which is where Gotham Knights is being made. So there's a 4-hour video. It's my favorite 4-hour video where they actually show a little behind the scenes of Mortal Shell. Mortal Shell is a Souls-like that was released in 2020, I think. And the developers actually sat down with one of the community managers at Epic Games, and they talked extensively about their game from a programming side, lighting side, sound side, all kinds of technical sides for 4 straight hours with other people in the, comments in the live stream asking questions. I want to turn your attention to the lighting aspect of this video because it's very, very indicative, very critical that you understand that lighting is a very interesting art. You're literally a magician when you're a lighting artist. You have to make sure that the game is well lit and it doesn't cost too much. And I remember one of the previews saying that they spoke with the developers of Gotham Knights, and apparently they said that all of the light in the world was hand placed. And that's usually what a lot of lighting artists would do in Unreal Engine 4. And this one in this game, the lighting director for this game, actually used a lot of really interesting tricks to light up their world. I recommend that you actually take some time to watch this video because they used a lot of code to actually create triggers that would, light up areas when you get there and all that stuff to be able to allow for performance of the game. So it's really a nice exposition as to how this technical side works in video games. So when you see 2 video games, be slow to judge by saying one of them looks better, hence it's better. Just understand, for the most part, not in every case anyways, that one game decided to take a specific creative direction versus the other one. And at the end of the day, they had tools at their disposals and they decided which tools to go ahead and use. Thanks so much for watching the video. I appreciate you guys' time and audience, and hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.